Heru, the Falcon god who became a nation. Thank you for stopping in at Nine World Chronicles. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into Heru, what he actually represents, why his mythology explained him the way that it did. So going back, we need to talk about his origins, and the origin of his worship goes back to Pre-Dynastic Kemet. The earliest forms of Heru or Horakti emerged from Kanhan, a powerful pre-dynastic city in Upper Kemet. He appeared as a falcon-headed sky god who was associated with the sun and with kingship, and archaeological records show that falcon imagery on the Narmer palette, one of the earliest political unification artifacts in Kemetic history. And the key takeaway is that he wasn't just a god, he was a symbol of the unification of Upper and Lower Kemet, and the falcon was a divine representation of pharaonic rule from the very beginning of time. Now, he was the living king, a political deification. In the early dynastic ideology, every living pharaoh was considered to be the embodiment of Heru, while the dead Nasut or pharaoh became Asar. This created a cyclical theology of rulership. There was the living king, Heru, who maintained Ma'at, which was order. The dead king, Asar, judged in the afterlife. And the next king, Heru in this case, rose to continue the cosmic political cycle. And the interpretation is that he was never just a myth. He was the statecraft and divine law merged into a human symbol. His presence was used to legitimize, rule, and suppress rebellion, aligning divinity with political control. Now, the myth of Heru versus Set is significant to its overall story, and this is a cosmic war which embodied politics. The myth of Heru's battle with Set, who murdered Asar, was not just family drama, it was cosmic civil war. This myth parallels the unification wars that birthed Kemet as a nation. Set represented the chaotic deserts, Red Land, the foreign invader, the disruption of Ma'at. Heru, in contrast, stood for the fertile Nile or the Black Land, the rightful heir, divine justice, and order itself. In a cultural context, this myth mirrored internal strife between Upper and Lower Kemet, as external threats from Nubia, the Libyans, and Asiatics were always present. Heru's victory over Set was propaganda, reinforcing national unity and pharaonic supremacy. Now, and he evolved from a sky god to being the son of Asar, and Asar also evolves more into Heru. But Heru becomes first, he's Heru the Elder. This is the primordial sky god, and he's very independent of Asar or Osiris. And then he becomes Horus the Younger. Heru saw Aset, and he is now the divine son of Asar and Aset, known as Isis. And he is born after his father is murdered. And this version tends to dominate later theology. And this shift shows an ideological move from this cosmic archetype to this destiny myth, aligning with the increased importance of the Osirian death rebirth cycle, which came in the Middle and New Kingdoms. Now, his symbols were of power and of cosmic warfare. His left and right eyes, which represented the moon and the sun, connected him to cosmic balance, with the famous eye of Heru symbolizing healing and protection. The eye of Heru was also a war symbol, said to have been torn out in a battle with Set, then restored, and this propagated the myth of him having regenerative powers and mirroring the recovery after civil war or chaos. He was also linked to the spear and scepter, tools of justice and authority, reinforcing his role as a divine war judge. Now, his cultural impact is epic. His culture stretched throughout all periods of Kemetic history. We see him being worshipped at various important temples. At the Edfu Temple, one of the most well-preserved temples in Kemet, entirely devoted to Heru. This shows his myth's long-lasting importance. He's also reflected in Christian transition. Aset and Heru are the prototypes for the Madonna and the Child, influencing global religious iconography. Now, Heru wasn't just a myth. He was law, he was nationhood, he was cosmic order, and psychological warfare wrapped into one divine falcon-headed archetype. Before Osiris ruled the afterlife, before Aset whispered resurrection spells, there was Heru. This was the falcon god who wasn't just worshipped, he was worn like armor by kings. Born from war, forged in justice, and etched into every throne for 3,000 years. Heru was indeed not just a myth, he was the nation itself.